Hi, so my name's Adrian Ballinger. Here we are in Ama Dablam Base Camp at 15,000 feet in the Himalaya in Nepal. It's late afternoon here when we're filming, so the mountain is right up there. You might just be able to see it, just peeking out there and catching the last rays of sun. But what I want to do is just walk you around a little bit what a base camp in the Himalaya can look like. Now remember, not every base camp looks like this. So this base camp is Alpenglow Expeditions. We're a guide service based in the United States, guides all over the world. And we really try to combine, the best comfort and best food and best people guiding our trips, along with experienced members who have worked through a progression to get on big mountains, ready to go to the mountain of their dreams. And Ama Dablam, which you can see a bit more of now, it's one of the most technical peaks in the Himalaya. It's got 5'9" rock climbing, grade 5 ice climbing. It's 22,500 feet tall, and it's pretty much my favorite mountain in the world. I've summited it 13 times over the last decade, and I'm still coming back for more. I love it. This is what people normally think about when they think about camping. So let's start with the traditional and then we'll go from there. But you can sort of see we're in the middle of our camp here. There's hangout tents and kitchen tents and dining tents and sleeping tents, and I'm gonna show it all to you. So this is home for me, and remember that on these big expeditions, I might be hanging out in my orange tent for anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks. I probably spend about 7 months a year in a tent instead of at home. So, again, comfort's pretty important to me. So of course I got a big fatty down mat. I have a negative 40-degree sleeping bag to get cozy in. You might notice that I don't just have one pad and sleeping bag, I got another pad and another sleeping bag, and you never know when someone wants to come and hang. I might even have met my girlfriend that way on a mountain. So I cover the whole bottom of the tent so no moisture comes up from underneath. Of course I've got light so I can hang in here. Of course we all have headlamps, but the last thing I want to do is just be in a headlamp the whole time. If I can read by light, I've got my Kindle, I've got my iPhone with the latest season of Game of Thrones on it. I got some power, just a little system, basic solar system outside and inside so I can charge at night. I got my my rock out speakers, so if I need to play a little Barry White, I have that option. And then eventually, all of this sort of clothing mess over on this side, I'll get all that cleaned up and into piles of sort of mountain clothing and base camp clothing. Try to make it as much like home as I can, as warm and comfortable as I am. Our whole theory that you're gonna see throughout this camp is we balance sort of the hard work and suffering that inevitably goes on at high altitude on technical peaks with comfort down at base camp, where we can recover and eat well and sleep well and then go put out that hard effort again. Any power we have, we try to get from the sun. So for me, that's just a couple of personal panels on top of my tent. 20 watt panels like this will really give me everything I need for all my personal electronics, from computer to music to iPhone. Probably the most popular question I get when I give slideshows about expeditions in the Himalayas is, how do you go to the bathroom? And you, our watchers, we want you to experience that as well. So let's go visit the crapper. Key to this place is getting on an early morning cycle, because imagine at night the temperature around here is like negative 15 degrees. You can imagine everything freezes and nothing stinks. But once the sun's had a few hours and your teammates have gotten in here, the place gets a little rougher. Welcome to the crapper. So we work really hard to make this place smell nice, but it is the end of a hot, warm day in base camp. But check this setup out, this isn't just, digging a hole and crapping, because this is a popular base camp and we really want this place to be great for generations to come. So actually everything goes into a blue barrel, even though we do have a nice toilet seat. You want to come in and take a look?
Oh God, I can't wait.
Nice toilet seat bolted down to this table. It's a relatively empty system. Gabe's not as used to it as I am. He's gonna back up. So essentially everything we do up here goes into that blue barrel and then is carried down to lower altitudes, where, believe it or not, it can be used as fertilizer on the potato fields. That's my favorite place in camp. And then over here is our puja ceremony altar. So here in Nepal, Tibetan Buddhism is incredibly important to the local people, and religion is really a part of everyday life for our Sherpa, and we're here for us as well. And so every afternoon when there's people on the mountain, we actually burn juniper as blessings, sending blessings to the gods and asking for safety for the people who are on the mountains. The prayer flags you see are actually doing the same thing. As they flap in the wind, they're sending blessings and prayers to the gods. This is the kitchen land, so actually the kitchen staff sleeps here. So they actually are some of the hardest workers on the mountain, getting up really early to cook for us and have hot water ready for coffee and things like that. And so while we're up on the mountain, you can imagine we're eating ramen noodles and kappa soups and maybe some D-high meals, and it gets pretty rough. We balance that down here in base camp with the most incredible food you can imagine from one of the best cooks in Nepal. Come on in. Let me introduce you to Tashi. He splits his time between Switzerland and Nepal. What are we having tonight, Tashi?
We have a steak.
Woo! So we have tenderloins, looks like asparagus, some fresh mushrooms, some fresh vegetables, and check it out. Tashi's even got a full-size oven, runs off of propane.
We're baking pie.
Take a look in there and check out that pie. This is my big Marmot tent, and I thought I'd be all rad, and I'm the head guide, so I'd sleep in the biggest tent going, you know, just to show that I'm the big man. And turns out it's way colder than the little tents, so this tent became our office medical storage tent. So while I am a very organized person, my expedition doctor who runs all these trips with me.
Well, I know it looks like this new system, but there's a system here. And I know exactly what's in each bag, even though you may not believe me. When I'm finished, it'll be super tidy.
So Monica is our expedition doctor, and she's just super crucial to letting us push as hard as we do in the big mountains, knowing that we have a support down here for both medical issues and, you know, we hope to never have accidents, but they do happen in the big mountains, and Monica's here to deal with those traumas and help get us out and get treated as quickly as we can. Cool, so night setting here in base camp. We really don't want the party to stop. It's our first night at 15,000 feet. So the way we make the nighttime happen, it's all these panels you see here. So our whole system sort of depends on what's on this side. We're lucky that in the fall in the Himalaya, we get a lot of sun, and this camp really catches it for the entire day on this side. So we have a variety of different panels that you could see here. You might notice that this panel doesn't look quite like they do in the brochure, and this might be my favorite solar panel, if you can have such a thing, because this guy came with me in 2012 to Makalu. We were trying this really difficult climb and attempting to ski the peak, and it's a really complicated route to get to base camp at 19,000 feet, and one of my porters almost fell off the trail as we were hiking up. He almost lost it, or he almost fell with his 70-pound load. He did the right thing. He dumped his load and saved himself. This panel fell almost 1,000 feet. We climbed down the slope again, found it, grabbed it, and it was shattered on one side after a 1,000-foot fall. But the amazing thing is, this thing is still putting out so much power that it's never left the system. We've never replaced it. It's still powering one of our batteries inside. So kudos to it. We actually have some pretty extensive power needs inside, as you'll see in just a minute. And these 4 Boulder 30 panels really crank out the power that we need to keep it going inside. Let's go take a look. You'll see what I mean. All right, so I'm gonna show you everything. Here's the centerpiece of Alpeglow Expeditions Base Camp. We've got the bar over here, you know. You never know when you need some Camino Real tequila, some Red Label, that always goes well. It looks like before we arrived, someone needed some of the Jim Beam. Not quite sure what happened there. And this year we're lucky enough to have Viña Serena semi-sweet wine from Spain. I'm a little afraid about the headache this might give me, but we've got a whole case of it. What else do we have? We have loads of great food. We got olive oil from Spain. We got pistachios, you know, of course, lots of water to keep us hydrated. We've got a nice big propane heater behind us so we can stay warm. And, you know, Goal Zero lights are awesome, but we like to dress ours up a little bit. So check out these rad little zebra light shades. And you might see a theme in here. So zebra light shades, remember those? What else? Lots of food and snacks. We don't want anyone to ever go hungry, so we got lots of food over here. And then I think there's some hanging out going on in the back room. Come on through. You can tell it's a tough life on these big mountains. How are the blow-up chairs? Oh, this one's kind of solid.
Pretty darn comfortable, man. You guys got it pretty good up here.
You might notice we got a big screen over here. This is actually for movie showings every night. So we have a ultralight digital projector, and we can either show the day's photos or, you know, Zoolander or whatever these guys want to watch. And then people always ask about communications on the big mountain. So let's take a look at our little communication system. You know, when we're up here, number one, for safety, we need to be able to get daily weather forecasts. We need to be able to stay in touch with our office and everyone who's on different places on the mountain. And we also need to be able to, or we really love to be able to send stuff home so people at home can follow along with our trips. So social media is pretty important to us. So check it out. So of course we have our laptop for when we need that. We have our iPhone, but there's not really any signal up here. So we actually bring a lot of satellite systems. So these are 2 satellite Wi-Fi systems. So 24 hours a day give us satellite internet throughout our camp so we can update our Facebook status. And then we've got phones. These are satellite phones, 2 different systems. Some days one satellite works, some days another satellite works. You need to have variety. And then we have our actual VHF radios for communicating with our team on the mountain, and also our Sherpa maybe bringing up resupplies of food and things like that. But you can imagine with all of this communications, and with Andy's need to watch 3 movies every single night, we do need a good amount of power. And that's what's going on underneath. Take a look. You've seen the solar panels outside, you've seen all our different uses for power inside, and we really don't want to have power just during the day when the sun's out. We want it 24 hours a day to be able to run our best, safest expeditions. And so this is really the heart of our base camp and our power system. It's these Goal Zero Yeti generators, and we call them generators, but the great thing is they're not taking gas, they're not making noise, they're simply solar systems with batteries for storing power. So we have the Yeti 1250 here and the 2 Yeti 400s. And with these 3 systems, we can really be running a half dozen laptops, light. We can have our little electric kettle so we can make espresso, and our film crew who's here with us this time for shooting on the mountain can be powering all of their cameras and storage devices and things like that. So it just sort of warms my heart when I come in and I look underneath the desk and I see all these green lights flashing and fulls going. We're the second team on the mountain for Alpenglow Expeditions this season. We had a team before us. They spent 4 weeks here, and they said they could never get any of these systems to drop below about 80%. So we're stoked, we're powered up, and that's our base camp. Thanks for visiting and taking a wander with me.